It is the Thursday night. I've got Mo Stewart, I've got John Gibbons, I've got Melia, and a story is broken, firstly in the Boston Globe and then worked on by the wonderful Dave Powell at the Liverpool Echo, John, about Fenway Sports Group and what they may now be looking for from an investment purpose. I really enjoyed how this was put in the Boston Globe, owned by John Henry, where it said, sources have said after a media day attended by John Henry, that what Liverpool might now be looking for, what Fenway Sports Group might now be looking for, is a partial investment that results in money for capital investments and also for transfers. Do we take this with a pinch of salt? Is this negotiating? Is this what we think is the likeliest thing to happen? I'm asking you, I know it's a guess.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to know how we got to this point. I'm almost more interested in the journey than I am the destination, because when the story first broke, they came out and said, we're looking for an investor. And then everyone went, nah, they're not, this is a bit of a thing where they're pretending that they are, but actually, it's a full sale. So to be sort of back now where we started, which is what they said all along, suggests that, either the story of a full sale being the preference was always a bit overblown, or they've explored that, found it difficult, trickier than what they thought, or maybe the idea of selling this wonderful football club when presented right in front of them was just too much, Neil. They just couldn't say goodbye to the Liver Bird, and in particular Mighty Red himself. They looked Mighty Red in the eye and just couldn't
find the way through it.
Couldn't find it. So maybe they thought, you know what?
He is the cormorant of sorrow.
Big eye as well. It's a big eye to look into.
Yeah, very much so.
So looked into Mighty Red's giant beady eyes and could not say goodbye. And so maybe they've gone, do you know what? Let's do a manager. Or what's probable to me is that they were up for anything and everything and seeing what was out there, and some decent people I don't know whether they're decent people, but decent offers have come through with saying, and they thought, actually, you know what I mean, this allows us to stay involved but get the money that we think we need to crack on. This doesn't sound too bad to me.
I think it's difficult, Mo, because I still feel as though the whole conversation is one about optimism and pessimism, and I don't know quite where Fenway Sports Group are in that. They are about risk and assessing the optimistic position to the pessimistic position, but where that is shifts. So, for instance, a full sale for $5 billion. If they think there's a pathway to the club being worth $7 billion, but there's a risk involved, they may feel, well, then we'll take the $5 billion. But if they can't get an offer, say, of more than $2.5 billion, and they think the club's worth $4 billion, and they can see a pathway to $7 billion, the risk becomes. This is what all this is about. I think, and it's what it's always been about. Really, is risk and rewards. And so far, for them, the reward's been pretty massive and the risk been pretty small. And it feels like that's still where they're still trying to assess that on that path.
Well, they are, and that's why I was always under the impression that it was going to be a partial rather than a full sale, because I do think they still want to be involved in some respect, and that means that it's up to them to find someone who's in line with their way of operating to come in, and I think that's a harder task, but one that allows them to keep control, which I do think is what they want. There's lots of parts in the club at the moment that are moving, and we don't know how or why or where they're moving to. The one kind of lighthouse in the middle of it all is Jurgen, and thankfully he's still in situ at the moment. But to any clubs who are coming in, or any prospective buyers, I'm always really kind of fascinated with the obsession over the numbers of how much it's going to cost, because surely as fans we want it to cost less, because that means that the people who own the club have the money to spend on the club when it's there. So, I mean, there are other clubs who are under sale at the moment. Hello, you know who I'm talking about, who are very much keen to get as high as price as possible. Yes, we want to be the most expensive club to ever be sold. Well, you've also got lots of shit to do once they're in there. So crack on, spend all your money. I'm happy for it to be a more reasonable approach, and that risk reward that's kind of got us all right so far in their system to continue.
I think it's really, again, at times you do feel a bit like I'd rather not be thinking about high finance, and we will come round onto football in a minute or two. But I'm just sort of with it, Adam. whatever it is that happens, I'm still back into the camp of I'd just quite like it to happen as reasonably quickly as it possibly can, and I'm feeling still like I'm not going to get my wish on that.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where I'm at, and I think my initial response is a bit deflated with this news, probably because with us not knowing anything, and I'd love to skip 6 months into the future and find out what happened, but with us not knowing anything, the most optimistic thought I had was, well, this is quite sudden. Maybe it's already happened. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we've been sold, and this is like, stock exchange jiggery pokery because you got to announce things and then it happens and it's all done during the World Cup. Nice timing. Now this has come out and it's made me think, that's probably not going to happen now, and
I think the quickest resolution is probably a partial investment.
Yeah,
that's probably the quickest resolution.
It's the quickest in a way, but partial investors normally just want to own the whole thing eventually. It's a resolution of sorts, but then the worry is the games begin. You end up with a bit of an Arsenal situation where you've got, a guy on 20% who wants to get to 60, but the person who's got 60 doesn't really want to sell, and you just end up in a bit of a situation where there's these sorts of tensions. Will be my worry.
YouTube, press the button, become a member of the Anfield Wrap from the heart of the city of Liverpool. The best way to enjoy all your Liverpool-based videos, everything you need, every single day. It is the Anfield Wrap.